Today is your lucky day. Today we're going to be checking out how big my dick. Cut that. Nah, don't sound right. Cut. Over the years, I have collected and had so many dick. Nah, cut. I have white ones, I have black ones, I have very colourful ones, but in total, I have a lot of decks. What? Are you sure about this one? Most of them have been very young and barely used, but let's check out my deck collection. Who the fuck writes this shit? Yeah, sound mate. Right, you know what? Let's cut the shit and get into it. Okay, so this video is all about my deck collection. Still sounds wrong saying that right now. Anyways, we're going to talk about the first decks I got compared to the newer decks I've got, my gimmick decks, and why I got all of them as well. Let's check them out. So when I first got into Magic, it was pretty much like, I don't want to be spending £10, £20 on a deck of cards because I might only use it once, I might quit, I might chuck them in the bin. I knew nothing about it. So the first deck of cards I started to get were these cheap little plastic ones. Some were made out of paper and they were a bit smaller in size. Pretty crap, to be honest, never really used them either. Then I just started finding decks as well. Little crappy old decks, used them, broke them in a little bit, got used to handling. Then I started to look at decks which had markings, so a little marking system so I could do some mentalism effects. However, I've never really used those. I found the markings really hard to read and get used to. Wasn't a big fan of those. So looking at everyone's Magic tricks on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter and stuff, everyone seems to be using bicycle decks. Got great reviews, nice and cheap, so I started with bicycle decks and that's when it went forward. Once I had collected quite a lot of bicycle cards, I then saw someone on Britain's Got Talent, Richard Jones I think his name was, perform a trick with a cartoon deck. So now we're going to talk about gimmick decks and what gimmick decks I have. So the first one I bought was that cartoon deck. Nice little animation deck, cartoon, whatever you call it. Great. I then realised that cards could be gimmicked and you can do all sorts with them. Magic isn't just about normal playing cards, if you know what I mean. So, got this Svengali deck, invisible decks, one of the best decks. Still sounds wrong every time I say decks. The Brainwave deck. I think more invisible decks, Svengali decks, bit of both. The Stripper deck, great name. And then the gaff card collections. So you've got both the Illusionist gaff cards, which has got I think more than 52 gaff cards in there in the Ghost deck, and also the plain red, blue, there's green in there, white, yellow, all sorts of colours. Got that deck as well. So those were my gimmick decks. Now we're going to get onto the good stuff. After the gimmick decks, I then wanted some black cards. First black cards I got were the Bicycle Ghost deck. Also the Black Tiger ones with the red pips, not sure where they are though. Then got the Scorpions, black and yellow, mainly from watching Disturbed Reality. Jarek, whatever his name is, don't watch him anymore, sorry. But yeah, I know most of you guys probably follow his stuff as well. Then the black and silver Tallyhos, nice looking deck. And then the black Absinthe deck, black and green cards. Those were the black card collections. I was then following top magicians and watching their stuff and learning quite a lot. So I kind of wanted to support them, however now I know that I wasn't actually supporting them, I'm supporting the company, but I still supported some decent companies like Illusionist and Murphy's Magic in getting their cards. So I was buying cards which performers, magicians I really liked to watch. So we've got the Shin Lim deck, and then we've got Chris Ramsey's decks, Carpe Nocturne, we've got some Memento Moris in the blue and the first edition as well. We've got the Knights, white and gold, red and gold, and then we've got the Daniel Madison decks, got the Hustlers, the Dealers, green and red, and the Revolvers. So I started collecting them because I liked watching Shin Lim, Chris Ramsey and Daniel Madison for their stuff. That's why I got them. After performing Magic for a while, I then got into watching quite a lot of cardistry. Can't do cardistry myself, but I love watching it, and I got cards that would look good for cardistry even though I'm not good. I can only do a couple of little flourishes. So I got cards which I thought that looked good. Got the Ignite deck, the Phantom deck, Cherry Casinos, Verts and Sleepers. Now I would say all of those are good for flourishing, not so much Magic, just because of the different pips. They look different. Any random spectator, if you were to give them, let's say, a card like that, they're looking at it, they're probably not going to look at it straight away and go, oh, 7 of diamonds. They're going to take a while to think of what that is. My opinion, it's not what Magic is about. Just give them plain cards that look normal. Same with like the Memento Moris as well. They're also good for flourishes. I'd use them for videos, all of these for videos where it includes a little bit of flourish. The last decks I'm going to show you before I go into my top 5 favourite are going to be the decks which I mainly use for performing, and they're the decks that are going to match kind of what I'm wearing or what type of venue I'm going to. They're not top of the range cards, but I do like using them. Like the handlings, I like the looks of them the most for performing, and they've got standard pips, so they work out well. So we've got the Bicycle Archangels, got the Phoenix decks, really like them. Got Keepers, broken in, they're great. Start off with Sway deck, and then we've got some Monarchs. Love handling Monarchs, especially with that gold trim. Neuralian deck as well. Same again, it's got that gold on there. If I had to choose my top 5 deck in order, they wouldn't include these two great decks, sadly. So if I could only choose 5 decks, these are the cards I would choose. I choose the Monarchs at number 5, just because the way they look, don't matter what colour, standard pips, and just the casing of them, the gold, I really do like them. That'll be the 5th deck I choose. Number 4 will be the Red Knights, mainly because the standard pips compared to the gold pips for the first edition, and they handle really well. 3rd deck will be the Madison Dealers, because of their borderless design, and they handle well, they look good for flourishing, easier to cover stuff as well, I think, when they're borderless for my style of tricks. We've also got a marking system on there. I don't use that marking system, but it is there if you need it. Number 2 and number 1 are probably going to surprise you. Number 2 would be the Keepers. Doesn't matter whether red or blue, mainly because of the way they handle. Nicely crushed, thin cards. Straight out of the box, you can perform with them straight away without having to break them in. Number 1 deck would be the Bicycle, but the Mandolin deck. Why the Mandolin deck? Because it's a mind reading deck as well. They have got a great marking system and they handle really well. So if I was just to grab out any card, let's say this one here, I know straight away it's a 10 of hearts. And it doesn't take long to get used to the marking system. I just show you very quickly, if you're looking at the bottom corner here, you can see how clear that 10 of hearts is. And they've got great for marking. They look like standard bicycles, so you can add your gimmicks into them. And then if a trick goes wrong or you forget something, you've got the marking system just to back you up. So it's nice and easy to remember. Yeah, it would have to be those. As much of a surprise to you it is. So those are most of my decks, except for the standard bicycle decks. As you can see, not a huge collection, but it's the start of a collection. I've only been doing Magic for about 2 years, but I do perform quite a lot now. So I have different styles of decks to suit the different venues I go to mainly as well now. And I have decks there which I would use purposely just for videos on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, just to make it look a little bit cooler, brighter colours, you know what I mean. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Please don't forget to drop a like on the video if you like or agree. Leave a comment on what your favourite deck is that you've seen. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.